is thick 30. I've been through a lot, but I'm still flirty. Is everybody back up in the building? It's been a minute, tell me how you're healing. Cause I'm about to get into my feelings. How you feeling? How you feel right now? Oh, I've been so down and under pressure. I'm way too fine to be.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander, and I am, as always, honored and excited to get to host another Power to Fly Chat and Learn virtual event. Now, before we get started, I just want to go over into some quick housekeeping. First things first, we're going to flash our code of conduct here on the page real quick. This is a large wall of legalese, but what it basically boils down to is don't act like a jerk. Okay. As long as we operate from a place of kindness and respect, it's pretty hard to go wrong from there. But just to kind of, give it an extra little underline, all y'all are welcome, but you got to act right. Okay. So just keep that in mind. If you want any details on this, please feel free to DM me. You can find my name, Meg Alexander, in the dropdown. Now, obviously, today we are here to discuss why having too many mentors can stunt your growth. But before we do that, I want to go into housekeeping, so how y'all can participate in today's event. Now, this is going to be helpful whether today is your first event with Power to Fly. And if that's the case, hi, welcome. We're so happy to meet you. Now, if this is your 50th event or more, thank you so much. The love is no less real for my frequent flyers. Thank you so much for spending time today with Power to Fly and great companies like Wentors. Now, you are absolutely welcome to participate in today's event in a multitude of ways. You're always encouraged to turn your cameras on if you'd like to share your smiling, maskless faces with us safely. But there's no need to be Instagram perfect, okay? Just because I got real fancy and washed my hair yesterday does not mean you can't come here with your messy buns, furry coworkers, or tuning in from your living room couch, okay? We don't care if you're in a ball gown or a three-piece suit or your bathrobe. Doesn't matter to us. We just want to meet you where you are. Now, as we are going through today's event, if you don't want to participate with your camera, that's completely fine. You can also always jump into the chat if you've got questions or you want to network with your fellow attendees. So I'm in the chat as well. I'll be sending out some links here in just a moment. But before I do that, I very much encourage y'all to head on over into that chat and let us know where you're joining from. I'm always really eager to see how far our global audience spreads. I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that belonged to the Fox, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi tribes in my area. So if you know whose land you're on or you'd like to share, please feel free. Now, we are recording today's event, and what that means for all of you is you don't have to take notes. You get to sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with Dorothy, and not worry if you miss a resource that's listed or a link that's shared, okay? Now, what's going to happen is in about 4 to 5 business days, everybody that registered for today's event is going to get an email from Power to Fly where you can, it'll have a link to where you can watch this recording when we post it on powertofly.com. Now, let's say that Dorothy says something today, just like mind-blowing, paradigm shifting. You cannot wait 4 to 5 business days to share it with a friend or a coworker or a relative. You don't have to. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. Like I said, we're live streaming there. Hi, YouTube. But you can always catch the video. It's usually posted on YouTube by the end of business today. There's a whole section of our best of, some of our greatest hits when it comes to events like this are stored on our YouTube channel. Now, that's awesome. I very much encourage y'all to check it out. And like I said, I'll share links for all of this in the thread as we go. But the big thing to remember is that all of our resources is on our website. And we want to make sure that y'all know those are free and completely available to you. So anything we can do to get those in the hands of as many people as possible is what we want to do. Now, I will tell you as we go through today's session, we've got questions that we're going to talk to our speaker about. But as we go, please understand that you took time out of your day to be here with us live. So if you've got questions, we want to make sure you get answers. So ask early, ask often. I've got my eyes peeled and I'll be hanging out in the chat. And we would love to see some participation from y'all today. So that way we can make sure that you get value from today's event. Now, I am incredibly excited to introduce you to our speaker. But before we do, I just want to highlight that Dorothy is here today on behalf of Wentors, nurturing women in technology and mentoring female tech talents across the world. Now, they're not a client of us. They are a partner with us, and we're so happy to have them here today. And I can't wait to learn more about this great organization. I'll let Dorothy tell you a little bit more about Wentors in a minute, but what you should know about our speaker today. Dorathy Simeon is a lead program coordinator at Wentors. With over 5,000 women in their community, Wentors' primary focus is to nurture women in technology globally through mentorship programs, training, and skill development programs. Now, Dorothy's strength originates from honest communication with people, which leads, to fearless relationships that can be built on trust. This will stand the test of time and helps open doors to diverse opportunities. Dorothy, I am so happy to have you join us on the stage today. What else do you think our audience members should know about you before we dive into questions?
Thank you so much, Meg. There's pretty much nothing else to know. I'm just going to keep the rest to myself and try to make everyone get excited about knowing what it is. However, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, the Power to Fly team, and I'm so excited to be here, Meg. Thank you.
Me too. All right, let's get started here. Like I said, we've got questions that we're going to go through early, but if y'all have questions, if you want us to dive in deeper on a topic or anything, please feel free, throw out your questions in the chat. I am happy to raise them. If you want to raise a question, but you want it asked anonymously, that's okay. Just DM it to me in the main chat. All right, to get us started, what is one myth about mentorship that you wish more people would challenge? Oh, hold on.
Sorry,
There you
I
go.
was muted.
It's okay. I do it at least once an event.
So for the most part, we've always, again, I work with Wentors and our core of service is mentorship. We always provide mentorship for our women. And one of the things that we have seen for most of our cohorts is most women sort of feel that mentoring is a one-way street. It's a one-way communication. It's, pretty much everything is just one way. And I really would like to tell everyone in this call, it's not one way, it's two ways. It's more or less like in a relationship when you are, pretty much in a relationship with someone. And if you do leave it in such a way that it's just a one-way communication, it creates a surface level conversation where there is literally no guidance, and it'll waste your time, it'll waste the mentor's time, and in the end, it doesn't achieve success in any way. So again, if you've always thought that mentorship is one way, no, it's not the truth, and you need to know it needs to change from today. So yeah.
Absolutely. I like the way you said it, that, that mentorship is a two-way street. I think once you give up that idea that it's all the information is supposed to flow, kind of trickle downhill, I think it also very much opens you up for new possibilities of people who you can learn from.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
when you're treating it like a hierarchy, then you're not looking to the people around you or the people
Exactly.
diagonally from you, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So hold on here. Let me get back to my questions. All right. I don't know how you've been with mentors across your career. I have had a handful over the years, but nobody that really overlapped. Why do you think the more mentors, the better approach became so popular? And what do you think the downside of it is?
So most people over time, so what I saw, with our mentoring relationships was they would relinquish their abilities for other people to control. And it almost feels like they never trusted in themselves. They never trusted in their abilities. And a lot of our women, and I say women because I work in a community of women. And so for the most part, they always were having to fight imposter syndrome. So they sort of felt that if I were to have, multiple mentors, it means that they knew the job and I didn't. And honestly, that's not the case. However, if you are a mentee, you should know that you have a limit, which is before your comfort zone. And you should have, you really should have people that you can turn to if you have literally no idea navigating, a situation, an issue, essentially. However, it shouldn't be at the detriment of your rights or your boundaries, whereby you get to the point where you cannot navigate at all, So in essence, what I'm saying is the downside to this is relinquishing your control to everyone else, because you have imposter syndrome, because you don't trust in your abilities. But I need you to know that you have to create limits and boundaries. Um, Having this trusted relationship with people, however, ensuring that there is a limit right before your comfort zone. So I do believe that that is that's the response to, the thought or the approach that women and men, mentees in general, believe that, the more mentors, the better. No, usually that's not the case.
That makes a lot of sense, kind of too many cooks in the kitchen a little bit. And it does make
Exactly.
a lot of sense how, especially if you are new to the industry, or maybe you're new to whatever role you've achieved, like whatever status you've achieved, it makes sense that you would want input, right? Because, there's a
Hmm.
lot of things that we do by committee that turn out a lot better when you have other people's input. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, I feel like you stack the deck with enough people that you get that you are already impressed by them, that I think sometimes we
Hmm.
forget to be impressed by ourselves and how far we've
Exactly.
come or what we've learned. Yeah, that makes a ton of
Yeah.
sense. Just as a how do I put this? Quantity versus quality. Do you think there's a sweet spot for like the number of mentors a person should have, or have you found one for yourself?
Um, so again, it's really not about numbers.
Okay.
I would say quality over quantity, anytime, any day, right? So you need to consider cultivating a small group of women or men. I'm sorry, I'm saying women. I'm just used to
That's
having a community of women. Okay, so you need to cultivate a small intentional group circle of, trusted advisors, who truly understand your vision, who truly understand the challenges that you're going through. Um, this deeper relationship, it does allow for vulnerability. It allows for consistency with the guidance that you get, as well as authentic support that evolves through your journey. So again, please remember, quality always trumps quantity at any time, at any day. It comes to relationships. And when it does, it transforms your business, it transforms your life in general. So I think that's the best response I could provide to that question.
No, I think that's a good point. You want something that is one of the things that I feel like gets overlooked is that people start thinking that, well, if one mentor is good, then like five must be better, right? But if you are trying to balance five different mentors, how deep is each one of those relationships getting,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
can you tell us what we like, how should we be thinking about it? Like what makes a mentorship more meaningful than like a networking contact? Let's differentiate for people what that relationship really entails.
Okay. So a meaningful relationship, or a meaningful mentoring relationship is it has I so if you're vulnerable and if there is mutual growth, this is what makes it meaningful for me. And this is what we have seen over the years. I mean, I have worked in a community of women in technology, and we provide mentorship, relationships pretty much every year. So, but what we have seen based on our surveys, our feedbacks are, first, I want to feel safe in my conversation with you. And I want to be able to show my authentic self, whether it has to do with my doubts, whether it has to do with my failures, whether it has to do with every unpolished ideas that I have. I really want to feel safe with you. And this creates trust. It allows for a smooth and easy sailing conversation, communication during our relationship. And then in the case of mutual growth, I honestly believe that both mentor and mentee, both pairs, they would naturally evolve. Their connection evolves over time. They're gaining new perspective, they're gaining new insights. They want to discover a lot within their space. And if they were not together, in most cases, this wouldn't happen. right? So there is beauty in when wisdom flows both ways, in both directions, essentially. So when you do find, if you're here, and when you do find that kind of relationship, protect it and nurture it.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So as we're talking about how to protect and nurture that, um, how do you recommend people go about that nurturing, and when do you discover if you're ready to move on, I should say?
So moving on from the mentoring relationship, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So let's
Right.
say, let's say maybe you feel like you've learned everything you can from this person. What are some of the reasons that the mentee-mentor relationship kind of runs its course?
Okay, so in most cases, you will know when the conversation is empty. And what I mean by empty is we really are not. So, what brought us together in the first place was probably a goal. And because we have achieved that goal, usually the conversations may digress into other things, which is not bad. However, they sort of become friends in the end, and it's no longer
Mhm.
being a mentee and being a mentor. And so that having such conversations just shows that, okay, I think we're no longer in tune with what brought us together. And now it's just more or less like, oh, do you want to hang out? Do you think you want to go come over for drinks or something? So such that I think that's one of the ways that our relationship, our mentoring relationship has ended its course. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's good. I'm just seeing that I skipped order. So apologies for one of these questions. But you talked about how building that trust is really important for that relationship. How do you how do you start that trust? How do you secure it? How important is this in the functioning of the relationship?
Um, so building trust is important because it makes me feel free to open up about my successes, especially about my failures. Because a lot of women, when we do go into these relationships, we don't want to open up. We don't want to be vulnerable. Remember, I said, vulnerability. And if I do trust you, if I do believe that third party do not have access to our conversations, it enables our conversations and the relationship to be successful at the end. I would always say that trust and honesty is the foundation of a successful mentoring relationship. It creates a safe space for pairs to thrive. And again, third parties should never have knowledge about what we're talking about, who I am, essentially, because I trust you. I want you to keep my conversation in a box. I want you to keep it safe. Just
Mhm.
so I'm able to come back again and again and again and confide in you, and have you be my cheerleader. So I do believe that's how trust and honesty plays in every successful mentoring relationship.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm loving all of this. Do you think that there is a recipe to find the right mentor? Obviously, not everybody that you meet knows something you don't, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you want to learn from them. So how do you recommend people go about trying to find someone who might be appropriate, be an appropriate mentor for themselves?
Right. So I came up with something which is called a mentor persona. And what this means is before you go into the journey of looking out to get a mentor, you need to identify what's the years of experience of the mentor that you're looking for. Who is she? Who are her networks that you can leverage on? The opportunities that she can provide. The other would be, what are people saying about her? And you may say, okay, how do I find that information? LinkedIn recommendation, the section on recommendation is a good spot to find out such conversations, such information. Um, and I think the other thing would be, does she align who she is? Does it align with my goals, essentially? And then lastly would be, join a community that could help you do your research. That's one easy way to get your mentor.
Mhm. So would you recommend people utilize like existing groups like ERGs and that kind of thing? Or
Correct. Yeah.
do you think it's smarter to look at people who maybe aren't as involved?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. I was wondering, just question that popped into my head was, obviously you want to, if you're looking at things like ERGs as an opportunity to look for mentors, right? Because these are people that want to be active in the business. Is it possible, should you worry that you're looking at somebody who might already be like overtaxed, or is that not really something you need to worry about? That's more on the mentor side.
Right. I think that's more on the mentor side because again, the
Okay.
mentor should have the ability to say, yeah, I do have space, I do have time, I want to dedicate my time, my knowledge, my skills to you. So it's really on the mentor side, not necessarily a decision that the mentee should make.
Okay. Now, once you have identified somebody that you think is a good potential mentor, how do you recommend people approach? A lot of times, at least from when I was coming up, it felt like it needed to be this very serious, like kind of formal question sort of thing. How do you feel about this? How should people be approaching someone that they want to mentor them?
Again, I think doing your research really helps, but don't ever think that a mentor will bite you. No mentor will bite. Being confident is key. Being confident is key in the journey of seeking out a mentor. Understanding that there are women out there, I will say for women in technology, there's so many women out there who are looking to mentor other women. So understanding that that you do have a space in the world of being mentored and being confident is key again, doing your research, again, drawing up that mentor persona really does help when you're seeking out. So you're able to align your questions in a very structured manner. So yeah,
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense. If you want to be sure you're asking the right person, yeah, we do our
yeah.
research. We try and make sure that this is somebody who understands. We did have somebody ask a question regarding mentorship following a career break, and they wanted to know about how you would recommend finding a mentor to support you with this. Should you look for someone else who's also had a career break? Like, what would you tell this person?
Um, Hmm. So most cases, it can be tricky looking for someone who has had a career break, because again, you really may not find that information easily. And it may require a long-term research. You have to dig deep in finding, who has had that career break that I could, jump off on their experience. However, if you're not able to find that person firsthand, it's always good to just seek out someone that is aligned with your goals and your expectations. It provides room for what you're looking for, essentially. So don't box your approach in seeking out a mentor. Be open minded, and have your research, have an open research, essentially. So, yeah.
No, that makes sense because obviously, I don't know about you. I look at finding a mentor very similarly to how I vote sometimes. With like you want to try and find the person that's going to get you the closest to where you want to go. And so I
Exactly.
think it is really important that we remind ourselves that like we don't need to find somebody that's taken our exact path. What you
Yeah.
need is somebody who understands the path you need to take, even if they haven't walked it themselves. So I think
Hmm.
that is really important. Look for people who are aligned, who do want to, be supportive. I think that's
Yeah.
massive. All right, the last question I have for you. Are there any specific mentorship strategies that you recommend, especially for women in tech, if they are in the midst of an early or mid-career transition? This can be a really difficult time for people. What would you recommend for women who are in tech who are trying to navigate these mentorship strategies?
Right. So one of the things, so I have mentioned this before, but identifying the mentor's experience is key, especially if you're early in your career or in your mid-career. It simply means finding a mentor who has the experience in your desired field or role. The second will be set clear goals, clear goals and expectations. I cannot emphasize this enough because we've seen most cases where our women would come into the mentoring relationship and they pretty much have zero goal. They don't have any expectation of, how this relationship should evolve. Are we going to be having a long-term relationship post the program? And so it's really necessary that you establish clear goals and expectations with your mentor before any relationship starts, so that you're able to communicate regularly in order to track the progress. The other would be focus on skill development. Again, there's so many platforms out there. There's so many organizations that provide free courses that you can jump on. It helps you to just brush up on a skill that you probably never thought you would be successful in. And so it's necessary that you identify the skill and then look for different organizations, courses that could help you build up on those. And then lastly is build a network. LinkedIn is a great source. Joining communities are great sources where you can find different connections, and probably get questions from people who are in that industry and ask them, gain insights on what is in the industry, just so it again requires a smooth sailing within that field. So those are some of the key things that are necessary if you are early in your career or if you are a mid-career transitioner. It allows you to stay successful. And I've seen this myself with our women. So yeah.
I like this. Do you think that there's a point at which, in our careers, we kind of bypass the need for mentors? Do you think that there's ever a point to kind of, I don't want to say give up, but is there a point where it's like, no, I'm too old to have a mentor at this point? Do you move on to being mentor age, or are you still, is this a relationship you could possibly extend throughout the life of your career?
Right. So there's something that they call reverse mentoring. And what this means is you typically would have, and it usually happens in the tech industry. So you see the employees, so lower staff employees would be paired with, the C-suite level managers and whatnot. And this allows for knowledge transfers. Again, no one knows it all, So because you don't know it all, it's always good to create that room for learning at every level. So I honestly don't believe that there's an age where you no longer require mentoring. Trust me, mentoring is key at every age. Honestly, even if you are a founder, you require a mentor. So yeah, there's really no age for when a mentoring relationship should end or when you just pretty much say no to mentorship.
I love this. Okay. My last question. Obviously hindsight's 2020, but what's the best piece of advice you've gotten from a mentor thus far in your life?
Piece of advice. So there's something that I came across recently, and this is how understanding that mentorship itself is beyond just having the mentor acting as, how would I put this now? Acting as the one who has crossed that part, knows the industry, has taken off on that journey, and wants to provide her wisdom to you. Having a mentorship map is necessary. And what does this involve? It involves 4 distinct roles, which is a coach, the mentor, the sponsor, and the challenger. Trusted advisors in this sense ensures that you do not box up just the mentor alone. In most cases, you may find that a mentor can be all 4, right? But for some women or for some mentees, you end up not being able to find someone who can accomplish all or who can take on all four roles. But if you're able to have just one person, man, you've got it, honestly. So I would say ensuring that you understand that there are distinct roles out there: the coach, the challenger, the sponsor, as well as the mentor. It's key.
Okay. All right. I like that the four links. That's a good list to have. I like this a lot. Okay. We are at the end of time. I told you this is going to go a lot faster than you thought. But Dorothy, I just want to say a massive thank you. Thank you so much for coming and teaching us a little bit more about mentorship and some of the things that we should consider while looking out for potential mentors in the future. But thank you so much. It's been really wonderful to get to spend the last 30 minutes with you. And I hope we get to do this again soon.
Thank you so much, Meg. I really enjoyed myself.
Thank you. All right, and a big thank you goes out to all of my Power to Flyers. Thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, I love when you come to these events because I have a job, but I love even more that you come to these events because you just took 30 minutes out of your day to do something positive for yourself and your career. That is not easy. It is pretty thankless in this day and age. So, whether you are a little treat person or not, listen to Meg, okay? Give yourself the gold star, the cookie, the pat on the back, the coffee drink. Maybe not Starbucks is all I'm saying. But absolutely reward yourself, y'all, because this is a very thankless task and y'all passed it with flying colors. Now, whether today was your first Power to Fly event or your 50th, I sincerely hope that we will see you again soon. So for now, go off, go have the day that y'all voted for, and we will hopefully see you back here sooner rather than later. Bye, y'all.